Welcome everybody that's filtering in. We will get started in just a minute or two. All right, and for those that are coming in early, I'll repeat this a couple times, but I'll give you a chance to think about it. This is a webinar about replacing Flip since Flip was shut down. If you could put one sentence in the chat around what do you miss most about Flip, or what are you trying to recreate about Flip? We want to make sure we've looked at Flip and we think we understand a lot of the use cases, but it's way better for us to hear from you to see what it is that you're trying to recreate in your class, like what sort of experience or what type of thing are you doing. If you can put that in the chat, Alex and David are here to help me, and they'll be able to review those as we're marching through. So, and I'll repeat this in another minute or two as we get started. But that would help us a lot, being able to understand what it is that you're trying to do. Let's do some introductions while we're waiting for people to filter in, because it's no terrible loss if they don't hear who we are. So my name's Marcus. For those that don't know me, I'm one of the founders of Harmonize. I'll be running a lot of the presentation today. I have with me Alex, who is our instructional designer. Also helped me dig into Flip and what all it does and how do we recreate that in Harmonize. And then I have with me David as well, who runs a lot of our webinars on subject-specific use cases. Like he's run multiple video webinars on how to do communications classes and such inside of Harmonize to be able to do video presentation and critique. Keep putting, for those that are just joining in, put out like what you liked about Flip. What is the thing that you want to recreate in Flip while I talk about what we're going to run through, and then Alex will be able to read those and kind of try to give me a synopsis of if there's anything that we're not going to cover or that we should. How do we actually how do we handle this in Harmonize? Okay, so having said all of that now, I'm going to give you a quick run of show of what we're going to go through so you can have some expectations for timeliness. So we're going to jump into Harmonize, and we're going to just jump straight into more video-centric use cases, because that's the main thing from Flip. For those that are not as familiar with Harmonize, it's a discussion board that does a lot of other content types like text, video screen share, polling, image, all kinds of stuff. The whole idea is replacing the Canvas discussion boards with something richer. The use case today is going to be on Flip, on video, I should say, and on screen share and presenting data and commenting and critiquing and annotating videos, and how does that work in SpeedGrade, or how does that work with rubrics, those types of things. So some of this is going to be pushing beyond what Flip can do, but are common questions we hear around video use. Your questions are super key on this, though, because there's a lot of things that Harmonize does that we are not going to touch on. But if you have questions of like, I tried this with Flip and I wanted to do XYZ, or even if you see something in this demo and you're like, wait, what? It does what? How does that work, etc., please bring those up. You can do that in the chat. You can do that in the Q&A. Either way, we're going to be watching both of those. And by we, I mean Alex and David are going to be watching both of those. And they can bring those questions up and interrupt me. Okay, so finally, for those that are just coming in that may have missed it, the chat right now is pretty active with, and I don't know if it shows you historical chat when you join a webinar, but put in there what it is that you're trying to recreate about Flip, or what you miss about Flip as it's gone away, so we can make sure that we are consuming those. What we're not going to cover today is like the basics of Harmonize. Like if you're new to Harmonize and you're coming to this because you're like, I was using Flip, my institution has Harmonize, or you aren't using Harmonize at all and are interested. David has a whole series of webinars coming up that he can share. He also has a Harmonize 101 that's happening tomorrow that you're welcome to attend. And that is where we will dig much more into the, okay, I saw that, it was cool. How do I add it to my class? How do I configure things? How do I grade with it? Because I'm going to be mainly focused around video-centric stuff today. So David will put those out into the chat at various points when it's appropriate to be able to do so. And now let us get started. I'm going to share
Hey,
my
Marcus,
screen.
somebody just made a comment, and you know me, how I am. I thought you might want to address this before we get into it. Someone said they missed that Flip was free. Did you want to address what we're offering for those out there
Oh, sure. Yeah, Harmonize is
Yeah.
not free. Unfortunately, it's a unfortunately, I guess it's a business. I own it. I would not go stay in business if we gave it away for free. But for Flip users, we are offering for non-Harmonized customers, we're offering a year of free usage because we believe firmly in our tool that you will love it and that your institution will love it. It is only a year though. So Flip was free. I totally get that. So we're offering a year free for new clients to be able to come in and play with it, experience it, and then decide what they want to do from there. So there's that little caveat of, yeah, after a year, it will not be free. If you don't want to put yourself in a situation where in another year you're having to find a new tool and you don't think your institution will work with us on this, then little note of caution there because it's not going to be free forever. And we don't want you to be in another position where you started using something and then you're like, I'm in the same position again. And note on logistics I didn't cover as well is that this is being recorded and we will share this out. So you'll have our email addresses as well. David will probably be taking care of that side of things. So you get an email from David with the recording and such as well. And we can also talk through logistics of if you see this and you're like, yes, I want to use this for Flip. We just need a quick piece of paperwork to protect your student data in place with your institution. Doesn't have any strings attached to it. It's just yes, Harmonize cannot take your student data and sell it on the black market, that type of stuff. So there's some logistics there as well if you're interested. All right. Go through. All right. Diving into what we're going to show you. So Harmonize, I'm going to do this in Canvas. This does work in Blackboard, D2L, and Moodle as well. I just am most comfortable in Canvas, so that's where I built out some of the demos for what we're going to do. And so I'm in my course inside of my modules, and each of these items is a Harmonize assignment, discussions or private assignments, etc. So we're going to walk through these. So first and foremost, your students don't need a separate login. There's no join code or anything like that. They're just going to come into their modules or they'll come into their assignments and the things will be available for them here when they're entering. So we're going to start with like the basic case of like, I want to do video introductions. I'm going to post a video. My students want to post a video. And I'm going to show you what that looks like to build as an instructor. And then as well, we'll get into some of the participation side of things. So I have a completely empty topic I haven't set up yet because I wanted you to see what it looks like for you as the instructor to sort of build the initial assignment with the video. All I've done so far is set it up to be an auto-graded assignment where I'm asking my students to post once and comment once to be able to participate so that we have good pacing for what we're about to build. When I'm actually building out my instructions as the instructor, we start you with a text box. We start you with a place to drag and drop files. But given that we're working with Flip, I'll point you at this toolbar across the bottom here, which is all of the different types of content that Harmonize can do. And the first one we're going to focus on is recording video. So I could do a simple set of instructions for my students, writing, etc. Nothing terribly exciting there. But since we're in video, we're just going to kick on the video recorder. And recording video is as easy as starting here to record the video. All these videos that you record or your students record are going to be auto-captioned. And by default, we give you 60 minutes. We give your student 5 minutes. However, I'm going to show you how it's like one quick switch to be able to give your students more time, up to an hour of video as well. And your students will be able to record video in the same way. So let's say I'm doing an introduction topic. I can be like, hi, I'm Marcus. I'm not really a teacher. I just play one on TV. Or I should say I tried to become a teacher back in longer ago than I care to admit because of the gray beard. It was really hard. I didn't do it. I left. I came back into ed tech. So that's my introduction. I'd love you to introduce yourselves, etc. So it's just me setting up a quick video topic as I go through it all. I have Alex and David are going to actually participate in this discussion here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and publish these instructions. So I can say, yes, we're ready to go. And now you can see this video is being processed. It's off auto captioning it. It's off making multiple sizes of it and such. But I can see some of my students have actually already started to participate. So if I scroll below the instructions, this is what participation looks like from individual students. So David is playing the role of Nick, the student. Alex is playing the role of Laverne, the student, and then I'm going to show you what it would be like for me to also pretend to be a student here and create a third card. So editing and creating posts is as simple as what I just showed you. So when I say create a new post here, it's going to open up a similar thing to where I'm like introducing myself, pretending I'm a student. Wow. I'm gonna not fix any of my typos. You know, we can tag classmates, we can do the basic text stuff as well, but given that we're focused on video and flip responses and type of thing here, I'm just gonna go ahead and kick on the video recorder as well for me as the student and say, well, I'm pretending to be a student. I am logged in as an instructor, so this is going to show up as an instructor post, or maybe this is just me giving an exemplar to my students of what I think a good introduction looks like as opposed to sort of get things rolling. So once again, as simple as just being able to record a video here, stop. And if they wanted to add additional resources like images, video, web links, embedded YouTube things, all of that type of stuff is very easy to do with these tools at the bottom. But since we're keeping it simple for this first one, I'm going to go ahead and publish this post. And so you can see now it's like my card has appeared. It's not visible to everyone yet because it still wants to make sure that's auto captioned before it shows it to everyone and that it's all ready to go so that we're completely accessible or as close to accessible as we can get here. And then I'm going to jump into to Nick and Laverne's post. So I can see here, both of these posts are new to me. I can see that these already both have comments on them. And the way this works is students come in and they click on one of these cards, which then rolls them into the actual post by Nick. And then I can see Laverne responding in video to Nick's post as well. And then when I add a comment, I once again have the ability to use that same video recorder or whatever I want to do, written text, etc. And this is where the quote unquote thread of the discussion happens or the commentary on the video happens. And this one is a very basic back and forth on video. This can be introductions. This is great use case would be a language class where we're practicing with language, conversation, practicing Spanish, replying in Spanish, those types of things as well. And then I can come back in. Generally what happens is they go back to all posts, they go find the next thing they want to interact with, and this is just the exact opposite of what I showed you, where Alex has responded, posted, and then Nick has responded. And then I can do reactions and go ahead and add replies to the commentary as we're going. Okay. Any questions, David and Alex, that came in on this specific simple video thing? Because I can talk about some of the features that we don't have that Flip have if those have come up already.
Yeah, I was just answering some of the quick ones in the chat, but some of the ones from the beginning that I think you've already answered were about whether or not students could record things live. Some of the ones that we maybe haven't answered yet, could you explain whether or not this is mobile friendly? What is recording or viewing like on mobile?
So viewing on mobile is as simple as this. I just made my browser smaller, and you can see my Mac OS desiring to upgrade back there. So it definitely works on mobile, works inside of the different LMS apps. And when you're doing recording, it uses the built-in native camera. So I can just pick up my phone, use the front-facing or the rear-facing camera as well to be able to do that. Or if I wanted to edit the videos, this is a question I did see in Flip where there's some editing tools built into Flip. We really don't allow fine-grained editing in the video. We don't have those built-in tools. I'm demoing mostly live recording here, but if I did want to create a new post, and let me open up my demo content folder here. Let's see if I actually have a video. You can always drag and drop videos in as well, and all of the same features that I'm going to show you as we go through apply here. So if they, for some reason, recorded the video in a different piece of software, or they did end up editing or creating some fancy video and dropped it in, the same features apply to be able to then auto caption them, show them in the same way, play them in the same way, do the same durations. So like by default, I was saying 5 minutes, so you don't get overwhelmed with content. But if I up that to an hour, they could upload an hour of 4K video and we would accept it, pull it in. If they uploaded 61 minutes, we're going to say that's longer than your instructor allowed. Please try again. So you can see here, this video is now processing and I can make it either small, medium, or large, depending on what kind of content I'm looking for here. And then I can publish this post. So that was me. Oop, I didn't put a subject in. They are right. That's an Apple Pro headset that I would like to play with someday, but haven't yet. And then we can publish it. So now we have a video that was uploaded versus one that was recorded live. Okay. Couple other things on the video recorder itself. It does give students a countdown timer. They can do audio or video. We will auto caption both. And there's this, when they are recording, they can do like a pause and then go do some setup or whatever, or maybe fix my hair if I had enough hair to fix, and then start recording again so they can do the pause, stop thing as they're rolling through. But like I was saying, the thing that Flip had that I noticed, and I'm not a Flip expert, it did have the ability to trim videos and do basic editing of videos. We do not have that feature for your instructors to do. They would have to do that in some other application, either on their phone, using the trim stuff on their phone before they upload it, or doing it in some other app on their desktop. I probably don't need another post in this, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this one here. Quick note on as I'm going through these, we autosave everything. So if I had left this post and come back, it would still be there for them to work on as a draft as they're going through. All right, Alex and Dave, anything is on video before I go into some of the screen sharing mode of things?
Yeah, Marcus, can you go over a couple of the options when it comes to closed caption and accessibility? Because we do have those options if you're teaching like in a foreign language course.
Sure. Let me actually come into the edit screen. So I'm editing my topic now where I was setting up those initial instructions, and there's a post settings area here with a bunch of things like Turnitin integration, reactions, anonymous posting, those types of things, even breaking your class into groups based on your LMS groups. So, you know, making small groups, very handy if you're doing like practical tests of like 3 of you get together and have conversations or present with each other. You can do those types of things. The things David was focused on are down here a little bit towards the bottom around default closed caption language. So if you are teaching a foreign language, you can pick a different language to be able to do your closed captioning in. And this is also where you control the video duration, audio duration limits, as well as when I get into doing screen sharing here in a minute, we have a separate area to be able to record that differently as well. So you can take either of these up to 60 minutes. We set them as a smaller default because many instructors don't want hour-long videos because they don't want to watch hour-long videos. So you could actually be this like, I want a minute introduction because I have 30 of you and I don't want to have you record more than a minute or upload more than a minute, or I need a quick, what's it, the pacha, the 20 slides in 20 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it is. So you could say do a screen capture, screen share for 2 minutes, and that's going to be a countdown timer for them as well. And if you do have a reason to do higher quality video, you can switch this on and we will offer an HD version of the video. We offer multiple sizes of the video, so you don't have to worry about your students having a slow bandwidth connection. We will serve up a lower quality of the video for them, but if there is a reason for you to want to really do high quality video, you can go ahead and flip this switch and we'll make that available for them as well. These are the main things that control both the captioning. I will say you can turn the captions off. We often see this for ASL classes, or we often see this for beginner foreign language classes, because auto captioning does not work great if you are trying to learn a language. Say, estoy hablando the español, and then I have this sort of an American Texan accent when I'm doing it. That's not ideal for auto captioning. It may have done just fine on that, who knows, but you can turn it off. If it's a listening exercise, or if you don't want the captions or anything along those lines, you can disable that. Okay.
Marcus, a quick follow-up question on captions. Do they work for uploaded MP4 videos? That
Yes,
comes from Q&A.
Any video, we will auto caption, regardless of whether you uploaded it or whether you recorded it live, as long as it's a video format we recognize, which is a fair number of video formats because we're using Amazon to do the video processing. So they have quite a bit of support for that. As well as for the captioning. So yeah, works on uploaded regardless of format, as long as it's not some obscure format that Amazon doesn't understand. I don't know which formats that would be because I've never heard complaints from support of unsupported formats. So. All right, publish this guy. I've knocked it down to a minute and a minute as well as we go through. So this is a public video focused area. The next thing I'm going to march into, actually, Alex and David, any last questions on video before I go into screen share? Oh, okay. Interrupt if they come back up, and I can always come back to that assignment. The next thing we saw that Flip did was did past tense, rest in peace, was to be able to do screen share presentations from student work or from the instructor's work. So I'm going to set up an example where, to begin with, I'm building instructions as the instructor using screen share. So here I'm going to click on this icon here, which allows us to say record screen. It's going to give me a button that says select the screen. And now I'm able to pick the particular window, a particular tab of Chrome, or the entire desktop to be able to share. In this case, I'm going to pick another browser window I have open right here and share that because it's where my PowerPoint presentation, or in this case, a Google Slides presentation, is open. And once I've done this, it works exactly the same way as our video recorder. So it's now showing that screen. A thing that Flip does that we do not do, we don't have the capability to put the little talking head in the lower left-hand corner that Flip has. So when you're doing a screen presentation, it's all about the content, and they can hear my voice, or they will once I start recording anyway, but they can't see my video. We don't have a way to do the two of those together. However, you can always attach an additional video if you want to speak to your students about stuff as well. You can combine the two of these. I could do a video recording and a screen share recording. But when I'm doing this, it's as simple as I just click start recording. And now I'm over here in my slide deck and I'm speaking through my slide deck on Harmonize 101. What does it look like? We're trying to move from the Canvas discussions into the better world of media rich discussions. Whatever it is that I'm going to present, I can do. We see instructors do PowerPoint presentations with this. We see them, for example, this is the help guide that Alex is going to share out around how to get started with Harmonize, these types of things, so we can speak through a particular document. We even see instructors use this to talk about student work. So if they are doing a private discussion or they are doing a private comment to the student, they could actually open up the student's work and be like, your headline here was too long and this is the wrong font size. And gosh, we should really work on combining these two categories in our help docs, type of thing, to be able to speak about whatever it is that you want to speak about. We even have some instructors that use this to be able to do online whiteboards, whatever it is. I know Flip had a built-in whiteboard. We see instructors use whatever tool they're comfortable with, so we don't build our own whiteboard. We just say, hey, screen share a whiteboard and talk through whatever it is that you want to do. This is just a free one that I opened up. But you imagine, anything that you're wanting to share, you can share as you're presenting. And then when I finally come back over into Harmonize and click stop, it is now going to do the same thing for those videos on this front, where it's going to start, talking about the slides. It's going to go into the different things I did. And now this will be available for students to be able to see in my instructions. So I can publish this change as well. It's processing that video once again, captioning it, everything, etc. I had Alex and David go ahead and post in this as well, so we can see 2 of my students have finished their first post, and 2 of my students have finished the comment I asked them to do. I didn't set this one up to be auto graded like I did the previous one, so they didn't automatically get points assigned to it. I'm going to have to go grade that manually. And when I scroll down here, I can see their presentations. So I can see Laverne did a similar sort of thing where she, Alex, shared the Harmonize 101 presentation, and I can watch and see what she spoke through with it. This is once again auto-captioned. So I can't actually listen to a video and and speak at the same time because my brain shuts down. But this is what initial cards look like as well for now for screen share. So you can see that each of them screen shared something different. Looks like David maybe went with ChatGPT and working with that and under the guise of Nick. And so we've pulled a screen capture of the screen share forward to be representing their work. Alex or David, before I go into the actual annotation and critique of these things, is there anything related to specific screen share that I can jump into?
Potentially. We had a question about how this is the same or different from VoiceThread, which is sometimes used for these kinds of presentations and responses as well.
The main feedback I have from students is that we did this with the University of Rochester. They surveyed students on VoiceThread versus Harmonize. Students find VoiceThread hard to use. So VoiceThread is pretty fancy. I will say I love the end product of what people can present because it's a live pulling in multiple things, presenting it, but harder for students to use. And so the end results of that survey was basically that this is a more simple, what I would find in the business world where I'm in Zoom. I have to screen share. That's a common trait of what we're trying to do. Easier to get in, easier to share your content. Not quite as fancy as VoiceThread. I am no VoiceThread expert though to tell you be able to compare the exact things that we do and don't do. I do have a long time ago, I dug into VoiceThread, and there is actually a comparison page on our website that can highlight that. And David, I don't know if you can find that URL, but if you can, toss it out in the chat so they can see what the comparison is to VoiceThread and what we do differently. It's been so long that my brain is now empty on it though. Alex, any other questions before I go into how to critique presentations?
I think that's probably it directly related to screen sharing. We've got some other ones we might pull in at the end.
Okay, cool. All right, so now here's where we go above and beyond what Flipgrid does. So every video and every image, well, let's just start with video. Every video that we have has this thing that says respond within video. So I could reply to this kind of like, well, let me actually show you what Nick has done. I could reply to this and just record with a video or record with text. But Nick, AKA David, has actually, as a fellow student, come in, taken that presentation and critiqued the presentation with time-stamped commentary on it. So you can see he left a comment at minute 16, dropping a pin and saying, I love the memes. At second 42, he came in and said fun graphic as he's going through. He highlighted the graphic and drew on the screen and called out what that was and said, you know, don't forget to bookmark this. He highlighted something and drew on one of my slides as well. So he's actually, as a peer, coming in, grabbing a copy of Alex's presentation. And we could have honestly done this with video as well, but this is just, I think, a more relevant use case to be able to draw on things, to be able to say, okay, I'm now doing timestamp commentary on this, and we could march through those timestamps as well. And I'm guessing if I come to the next post, that this is what Alex, AKA Nick, has done as well, where she saw his post and responded to his post with, you know, jumping to particular points in his presentation, jumping to that point in the video and highlighting and drawing on things as well. So that you can get really fine-grained in your critique of each other. Really useful for PowerPoint presentations, obviously, because you can draw on the slides. If you're critiquing a normal video, we see this used in practicum classes where it's like you're doing dance or you're doing yoga or you're doing any sort of skill, music classes where you have to hold the violin in a certain way, or the guitar, you don't have the C shape of holding the guitar neck properly. And you can actually draw on videos in the same fashion as we are drawing on slides here as well. So you can do really fine-grained commentary into any particular video. They didn't have to respond that way. They could have responded with text. They could have responded with just a simple video recording or a combination of all three of those, entirely up to the students what they do or what you as the instructor have guided them to do. In this case, I didn't give them any actual instructions other than I did a quick presentation of my own where I would have voice told them what I wanted them to do. Any particular questions on this type of critique before I show you how it actually works? Going once, going twice. All right, let me show it how it actually works. So I'm now in as the instructor, and I'll show this in SpeedGrader in a moment or in the other LMS grading interfaces, the same functionality is available. But when I want to leave timestamp commentary, let me actually go to Alex's because it has a slide deck, which will be a little more meaningful, I think, when I draw on it. I say respond within video, and it starts a comment here with my own copy of the video ready to go. So I could leave an overall comment in text. I could use any of these tools I was showing you earlier to be able to say, you know, record a video, record audio, bring in some files. But really the meat of this tool is just press play. And when you hit something you want to respond with, you click plus respond, and it gives me a place to say, on this slide, the images are cool or something like that. And so I can go ahead and circle the images, and then I just press play again. Going through, and then I can pause at another point, and maybe at this point I choose to drop one of these pins on it and say, this area is blank. Getting a little bit of scrolling up and down because I have my screen blown up a little large so you can see it, but you get the idea. Like I dropped a location specific pin here, left a location thing, and then I can leave an overall comment at this timestamp and then roll on. And so then when I as the instructor can make this a private critique or not. So it could be used to facilitate the discussion and give my feedback to everyone, or I could mark this as private if I'm critiquing something in a group discussion that I want Alex to see, or I'm sorry, not Alex, I want Laverne to see privately as I was going through. And then I publish it and it becomes another comment in the thread. So here's my commentary on this slide. The images are cool. Overall comment at this timestamp. And so you can see it becomes part of the conversation to where this is the first critique by Nick of her thing. So has his own critique, his own space. And then I also offered a critique. So you can picture, I broke my class into groups of 3. I asked them to do presentations, and then I asked them to actually critique each other's presentations. And the way I set this one up was, if we look back at the top, oh no, I didn't know. Yeah, on this one, I said I wanted one post and I wanted one comment. So the students are going to be guided by that. I could have auto-graded based on participation for that. This is going to get stuck in the calendar and notify them and those types of things so that they actually come in and know there's multiple due dates to do these things. Get this done by Monday so we actually have presentations to critique. And then we have till Friday to actually critique the presentations as we're going through it all.
Marcus, are the annotations that a user makes screen readable?
This is a great question. They are not screen readable if they're location specific on a visual. Like they can actually read this part at minute 16. I said, I love funny memes. They could jump to that point in the video and play it. It would be captioned. We talked to the WebAIM folks about how do we make something like this accessible, and they're like, you just can't because it's inherently visual in nature. So if you are drawing scribbles on something that is inherently visual and you need a screen reader to be able to read it, there is no way to actually accomplish that. So we couldn't come up with a way to make that readable. So if you're just doing location comments like this or overall comments, it works because it jumps them to the video. They can then read the captions at that point in the video or have them read to them at that point in the video. But if you actually switch into that drawing mode where I dropped this pin, or David in this case dropped this pin here, the only thing we could do would be like, at pixel 75, 110, and that just did not seem useful. So there's a way you can actually deviate away from a thing into things that are inherently visual that are then not easily for a screen reader to be able to accommodate. When you're doing that, we highly encourage you to actually describe in the comment what it is that you're actually doing as well, because then the screen, you could say like the graphic with the memes where you're describing multimedia, then at least they have some notion of what's being done, although once again, it's a presentation, so it's inherently visual if the presenter has not described what is on the screen as well. Okay, any other questions for me to address on screen share, presentation critique before we go into an instructor submitted a use case they wanted us to cover of grading with a rubric and showing what that looks like as well.
One question. So the timestamp feedback is only for recorded videos. You couldn't do it live on a video you were recording like during a live speech class, for example.
That is a great question. Yes, it is for asynchronous communication. So there's a video that's been recorded or uploaded. The only way you could do the live ones, and this is going to get a bit funky inception-wise, I could screen share the video and critique it, but it's not something where they're recording it live like in Zoom, where you can type in comments while it's going on in Zoom and everybody's in the session together. Harmonize is inherently an asynchronous tool, which means we're doing this at different times as well. So there's not a let's all get together in a room. We do have a way for you to schedule a synchronous meeting with one of the media tools we were talking about, like this little icon here allows you to schedule a synchronous meeting and then gives you a place to upload the recording of that meeting. So you can go from asynchronous into a synchronous session that's hosted in Zoom or Google Meets or something, and then come back into Harmonize, put the recording back in Harmonize if you want, and then continue the conversation. But we don't handle the synchronous side of things like Zoom does. And Zoom does some pretty cool stuff with being able to draw on annotations while we're talking and everything. Other questions for me? Okay, let's go into the private assignment with the rubric. Actually, I saw something pop up. Does a scheduled meeting automatically record, or do they have an option to record? The scheduled meetings are controlled by you. So we just give you a place to put the Zoom URL in. So if Zoom automatically records, it automatically records for you. You get the video recording and bring it back to us either in link form or downloaded video form, those types of things. So we do not help you with the synchronous session. We just give you a place to put the URL to join the synchronous session with a time on it, and then we'll notify the student when that time is coming so that they can jump into the session at that time. Okay. All right, going into a private assignment mode. So both of these were all focused on, let me get Alex and David to interact with each other, or let me as the instructor come in and facilitate this conversation. The use case here is what's called a private assignment. So same tools available for you. The students, however, do not see each other's work. So the example that David received from an instructor, I should give credit to the instructor, David, but I can't remember the name because I was scrambling to pull this together. So the example was, can we do video recording around recorded prompts or something like that, and can we assess that with the rubric? So we have an AI tool to help build activities. So I threw at the AI tool, hey, I want to practice doing an interview. It built this for me to where it's like, okay, here's the task for your students, identify the skills, reflect on experiences, and then use ChatGPT in voice mode to practice answering typical interview questions. And then here's what we're expecting from a submission criteria. Then I used our AI tools to build a rubric. So it actually built a rubric based on these 4 things. I approved it. And then we do have the full 4x4 rubric for the student as well. I built this with AI as well and reviewed it to make sure, well, I didn't review it to make sure it was correct. But if this were a real world scenario, I would have reviewed it to make sure it was correct in what I wanted. This writes back in to be used in SpeedGrader for the actual assessment. And then I went ahead and logged in as a student and went ahead and submitted me speaking with ChatGPT on my phone. So I don't have the audio hooked up to be able to play over Zoom, but the captions are there. So you can see it's me chatting and responding to video prompts. Note that to the instructor's point, we don't have a way to organize and like queue up those prompts for them, but you could upload your own video and do exactly what I'm doing here and have it have them pause it and respond, and then press play and respond and pause it and respond. So there's a lot of cool things you can do if you give the student the video and the instructions and then have them go ahead and just open it up on their phone and record or do whatever it is that they would do to be able to respond to it as well. And you'll be happy to know when I told ChatGPT that I was not interested in a supermarket position, I only wanted the money, it told me that was a very terrible response to an interview question and that perhaps I should try to frame it differently. But this is an example now where, okay, I have this as a student and I can open this up in SpeedGrader to say, okay, how did this student do? Here is Sola. Here is what Sola has done. In this case, 1 post, 0 responses. She hasn't read anything else because there was nothing else to read. But here I have that actual video. And I didn't actually publish the rubric. Shoot. So I should have actually published the rubric, and then it would be here on the right-hand side to be able to grade with the rubric in SpeedGrader. Sorry, that was bad demo setup for myself. So the rubric would be available in SpeedGrader. I could then click, click, click to assess that. If you're not using Canvas, the rubric would be available in whatever the grading interface in your LMS is. So we do grading for Brightspace, D2L, and Moodle. You would click, click, click to grade with the rubric. But you also have those same tools available here to where I can go ahead and say respond within video from inside my grading interface. It gives me that same tool in much smaller format here because I've made the window smaller as we're going through. So it can be whatever size as I resize the window. And then I can use those critiques here to give them that time-stamped critique, clicking on the respond button while either giving them a manual grade or grading with the rubric over here on the right-hand side. So the idea is like, all of these tools I've been showing you for your students to use with each other or for you to use with your students are available when you're in your grading interface as well. So you can combine grading with the rubric, points grade, whatever you want, or auto grading with this type of feedback as well. So you can see what it looks like. And I think I have an auto grading example I had set up. If I remember correctly, the first video introduction, I asked for 1 post and 1 comment, and I wanted it to be auto-graded 5 points each. And so when I open up SpeedGrader, Laverne here has done that first post. She got 5 points. She has done the 1 comment. She got 5 points. Note, it doesn't have any idea about the video quality. It's just about the quantity. So she did make 1 post and 1 comment. She got 10 points. And then I, of course, can change that grade as well. We don't do grading based on quality. It's purely a participation grade. We do coaching with AI based on the rubric, but we don't actually turn that into a grade. We just do that so the students can get real-time feedback on their work. That's a whole separate webinar, though, on that. So this is what it looks inside of SpeedGrader, and then this is your standard SpeedGrader interface. So if I made this bigger and there were a rubric over here, I could actually grade with the rubric as well. Other questions, Alex, that have come in that I should jump around and cover?
Yeah, going back to some earlier questions, apparently Flip offered playlists and someone was interested in that. And then someone else asked, can you restrict students from uploading a recorded video for their speeches? In other words, is there some way to make sure students post their speeches that they are recording live?
We don't have a way to limit the type of content. It will look slightly different. Let me see if I can, I think this was the one where, let me show you here. It will look slightly different. You notice it fits perfectly. It has rounded corners, uploaded type of content, has a slightly different area down here at the bottom versus if they recorded it here in the recorded one. I guess it looks very similar actually. It's slightly less rounded corners, so there's not actually a great differentiator. So yeah, we don't have a way for them to be able to tell uploaded versus not. Also because, and this is a little technical detail, when they do it from the phone, it's actually recording locally to their phone and then uploading, because that's just how phones work. So it's kind of a different mechanism there versus record live. So they could record it on their phone and upload it immediately or upload it later, type of thing. So no easy way for you to stop that, other than to hopefully trust your students. Other questions? Alex, anything else?
No, I think you've covered it. You know,
let
someone
me
was
talk
asking
on.
about rubric. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let me actually, you brought up playlists. We don't have a way to do playlists. The only thing we have to do is to actually, you could include links to videos or you can embed videos. So if you had a playlist built elsewhere of what you wanted them to watch, like let me actually went to YouTube. I think YouTube does playlists, but yeah, playlists, videos, liked videos. I'm gonna guess this is not a public URL, but let's see if this works. Anytime you paste anything in, it's going to go ahead and embed that down here below. So I guess it did actually pull up a playlist of videos. So it embedded the YouTube playlist for me that I have built, so the students could march through that. So if your playlist is hosted on another site, we can do playlists. The only way we could see doing this inside of Harmonize would be to just go ahead and record 2 or 3 videos so that they are stacked on top of each other. You could put text sections between them describing what you wanted, because you can always come back down here and add another text section and be like, let me move this right above this other video so I can be like, okay, below is a mountain bike video, and here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do, and then you can see there's that next video down here as well. So this is the only way we would have to do a playlist. The way our YouTube or any sort of video embed works, like let's say you're embedding a Spotify URL a playlist, it will actually embed the Spotify player straight in there. We just do what the website tells us to do. New York Times has us embed an article with an image and a title and a description. YouTube embeds a player. Vimeo embeds a player, type of thing. So you don't have to worry about embed codes as much. You just paste in the URL and we will pull in whatever the website tells us to pull in here. And you, of course, can delete that if you don't want us to do the preview type of thing. All right, Alex, back to you on you were getting ready to say something about rubrics.
I actually think we answered that question. Someone was just wanting to double check that you can use a rubric on an assignment where students are interacting with each other.
Yeah, I had set that one up as a private assignment, but they're available everywhere. And the way the AI generation of rubric works is you just click this button here and it will go ahead and start building the rubric for you. You can add your own rubric in certain LMSs, not all LMSs. Canvas allows you to add a rubric to an LTI tool here. To do that, all other LMSs, you can build a rubric internal and be like, okay, this is what I'm looking for in my rubric. Great. Okay, let's generate a full rubric. And then we will build the rubric for you to be able to do so. This is a big time saver for instructors because even though you need to read it and edit it, it saves so much time to not have to build the full rubric as well. So I can see now it's talking about, I didn't give very much in terms of instruction. So it's kind of just talking about it's being clear and well organized. It's kind of adding things in because I only had 1 sentence of written text up here. Our rubric generator does not consume videos. It only consumes written text. So if you do want to build a rubric for something, you'd have to give some instructions in writing for us to be able to consume that and generate a rubric for you. If you want it to only be video, you still could put the instructions in, generate the rubric, and then throw them away if you wanted. But we need that to be able to then turn it into a full rubric here. And then AI coaching if we want.
Hey, Marcus, we had a question, and I know the answer, but I thought you could go into it a little bit more about downloading the video content you record in Harmonize. They were asking, is there a direct route to any content you record to automatically have that uploaded into YouTube? And we don't have that integration, but you can download any videos that you record in Harmonize. So I thought maybe you might talk about that.
Yeah, any video you record or upload, there's these little 3 buttons here that you can download. David's right. We don't have some magic way to push the student data out into a public platform. I would hesitate on that from a FERPA perspective to give the student data out to a public platform. So be careful there, I would say. But yeah, we probably won't build something like that because of that concern. But you can always download the videos and do something with them as well to be able to grab them and add them to an archive or an exemplar document, or add them to a Canvas page if you have permission to share that video into a future class. You could do that type of thing as well. And a quick note on copy, like these get set up, these instructions and all of this configurations gets copied into your next semester. We'll clear out all of the student posts that I have down here at the bottom for you to be able to get rid of all of these, but it'll still be there next semester. It'll be prepped with the rubric and with the instructions for you as well. All right. And I see in the comment you weren't talking about student videos, you're talking about your own. Fair point. Yeah, that's way safer. I support that 100%. But yeah, we don't have that feature to be able to automatically stream videos out to YouTube and get them into YouTube. You'd have to download them and re-upload them into YouTube.
One other nice feature, Marcus, is we do not have any storage limits on the video content. I don't know if you mentioned that or not. So
I did not. That's a fair point. So you can do as much as you want. So if your students are recording hour-long videos, like it doesn't count against your LMS storage quota. We want your students to interact in rich ways. So upload the video, storage is cheap, just as included in the package. So we'll leave them there forever. We never delete them until if your Canvas admin comes through and deletes your old course, of course, that's a different story, but they're there. And then once again, copying forward your instructions, the video gets copied semester to semester. So you always have it going forward as well. We do everything based on duration. We don't do it based on file size because we don't want students to have to fight the whole, oh, you said 500 megabytes, but I'm recording on my iPhone Pro 75 when we get to that point. That's 7,000K video, that type of thing. It's just like, just upload a video. We're going to check the duration. If the duration match what the instructor said they were willing to accept, we will accept it. We won't ding those type of thing. All right. Any other questions for me? All right, so we have some upcoming webinars to talk about, as well as some guides for you. So if you do have Harmonize at your institution already, Alex has a help guide that is sort of our instructor help center. I was demoing that in this screen at one point here, where it talks about how to create one, specific features, how to build content, how to grade, how to use our AI features. I demoed that rubrics one real quick, but how to build an activity, how to coach with AI, all of these types of things. They're all optional features. We always want you as an instructor to be the boss. So if you want something turned on, auto grading, yes, great. Multiple due dates, yes, great. If not, great. You do you. Type of thing. But this guide that Alex can put out will help you sort of get started with all of that, as well as talking through some of the annotation features and such like that. I think it's a little further down here. Yeah, draw on images or annotate screenshots, record audio and video, respond to videos with timestamp comments. All of these things are little linked docs with little videos that cover essentially what I showed you today, but will help you get started. David has a whole bunch of upcoming webinars. Some of those we're running on specifically are, we have a 101 class where we're going to go through an hour of just walking through how to set these things up and configure them. That's tomorrow. We have one on our PDF annotation and our polling tools, to where it's like, hey, how do I make my students read the content better? Well, here's some of the tools we have to be able to help with that. Those types of things. There's even an upcoming webinar on how to teach math online that we're going to co-present with GMU. And University of Alabama on some of the ways they're getting math discussions to work better, some of the theory of that as well, because we get that question a lot. So he'll put out or already has put out some of our upcoming webinars. You can take a look at those. And David, the 101 is not on the main event page, so make sure you include the link to that one as well, so that they have that registration for the 101 webinar. And I would say our support address for those that are already customers, support@harmonizelearning.com. If someone can throw that, Alex, can you throw that out in the chat while David's fetching the 101 registration thing? This is your lifeline. It reaches all of us. Like, I'm on there, Alex is on there. We have a support team on there. The people who build the product are on there. So when you start using this and have questions, shoot us a question. Also, if there are things that you would like to see built, that's also where you reach out, because we drive our roadmap based on what instructors ask for. Or instructors or instructional designers, et cetera. So if you come across anything where you're like, this could be better, please share that with us, because that's how we make the product better as well. So very, very valuable. Alex has put that out in the chat. Any final questions?
I think
before we-
two more rolled in. Someone was asking if certain features could be turned off at the admin level. And you might already have answered this, but in the Q&A, someone asked about students and whether or not they can download instructor or other students' videos, or if the download is specific to the person who recorded and posted.
Everybody can download everybody's videos unless your institution turns that off. Because they don't want students to download other students' videos, types of things. So right now it says share. Everybody can share information as long as they're in the course. They can do with that what they will, but the institution can turn that off. We don't have a way to say this particular topic, I want you to disable the download. We only have that at sort of the institution-wide level of please don't share student videos for download. I will say that even though we turn that off, savvy students will still be able to get this video. As soon as you put a video in a web browser for them to play, they can get it. There are plugins to do that. There are JavaScript things to do that. There's all kinds of things to do that. So even if we did disable this download link, as soon as we make it playable, they can get to it. So nothing's safe on the internet, I guess is what I would say. We restrict access to this page, but a savvy student would be able to get this video even if we prohibited the download. And then by savvy, I mean if they just Googled it and found a plugin and 5 seconds later we're downloading it, it's not hard. So there was one other question right before that, Alex, and my brain already dropped it. What was it?
It was kind of general about can some of the features be turned off at the admin level so no one can use it, but they didn't specify what features. I don't know if they want to add some specific questions, but
Yeah,
it sounds like at least that feature can be turned off at the admin level.
Yeah, the mainly because of student FERPA concerns was why that one was done to where it's like, can we prohibit that type of easier download at least? But by and large, our philosophy is let's let students express themselves however they want and do whatever it is that they can within the platform. And then if you want specific guidelines for them, you put that in a rubric, and then we can coach them using AI and be like, hey, you're not complying with the rubric. The student instructor asked for XYZ. Pay attention to what the instructor asked for. We can do that level of coaching and try to guide them and nudge them, but we don't try to restrict what they are doing. It's more of a express yourself however you see fit. And if you are violating the instructor's guidelines, they're going to grade you poorly on the rubric, or without a rubric, they're going to grade you poorly, or we're going to coach you with AI to say like, hey, you're doing this a little bit incorrectly, those types of things. But we don't generally restrict student access. The only thing we really do is like once it's been graded, we lock it. So the student can't change it after you've graded it. That's when we start to take away access from the students to say like, oh, you recorded a video and the instructor either through auto grading or through rubric grade or whatever assigned a grade, can't change it. You can make another post, you can continue to make comments, but whatever the graded content was is stuck, not changing. It's part of the student record. And that's the only real restrictions we do on student content. All right. Other questions? Got 8 minutes left. Awesome. All right. Well, have fun. David will follow up with the recording. If you, I was going to say, if you are interested in a free year because you're not already part of the Harmonize family, David, can you put your email address out into the chat so they can reach out to you directly? I mean, you're going to share the video afterwards, so they'll have that. But you can put your email out and they can reach out to you about getting that set up as you're playing with it all. And then we can talk through what that looks like either via email or we can hop on a Zoom call to be able to figure that out. For those, and I think that's most, for those that are actually in the Harmonize family already, if you come up with, I'll share this recording out. You're welcome to, I'll share out the URL. We'll host it as well so you can share it with faculty who did not attend. If you have Flip questions that come in after the fact of maybe a feature we didn't know about at Flip and that does it do it or not, just shoot them to me or shoot them to support and we'll get those answered and maybe we can even update the page we post this on so they can see what it looks like.
And Marcus, I will make sure all the links that we were talking about, future webinars, support links, I'll put that in the email to everyone whenever I send out the URL for the copy of this recording.
Awesome. Thank you, David. All right. Going once, going twice on questions. Excellent. All right. Well, have fun with your fall semester. I hope it goes smoothly. Everything's getting off the ground now. And we will talk to you in a future webinar. All right, thanks everybody. And if I could only find there we go, stop share and leave the webinar. Bye everybody.